Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of The Bullet. My name is Paul Lathrop. I'm the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation. Joining us for the first time in so long, I'm tempted to call him a red shirt. Mike Piwowarski of The Rundown and Arms Room Radio. Mike, thanks for coming along today, man.
Always a pleasure to be here with you, Paul, and all the fine folks at Second Amendment Foundation. Welcome back from the break, right? Thanksgiving break, right? That's where we were?
that was. I had some personal stuff I had to take care of after Thanksgiving, but yeah, we were off for about 10 days between Thanksgiving and when we came back. So, it's not quite spring training yet, so I don't have anything to talk to you about sports-wise, so I suppose we ought to get back into the news, huh?
Yeah, I guess we could. Yeah, we're still looking at 67 days till pitchers and catchers report, so we got a little bit of time left, so we're good. Yeah.
Hey, there you go. All right. First story that hit my attention this morning is yesterday we talked a little bit about how Congress, through the National Defense Authorization Act, wants to add safe storage for private firearms owners to that bill. Now it comes out today they want a federally controlled list of people who voluntarily agree to be blocked from buying guns. The bill is aimed at preventing gun suicide. However, let's be frank about this. If you are considering suicide, the last darn thing you're going to do is go say, "Oh, gee, I might do something stupid. Maybe I should go put myself on a federal list." What do you think, Mike?
This doesn't work. This absolutely doesn't work. First off, let's talk about President Biden using the lame duck Congress to try and get his way. Mr. President, the people have spoken, and this applies for the Senate as well as the House. They don't want these people there in Congress anymore. The Democrats no longer have control of the House. Those that have been not reelected should not vote. Now, there's nothing legally that says they shouldn't vote, but Paul, this has been a tradition for many years. It only went away during the late in the Clinton years, early in the Bush years. This went away, where the tradition was, if I was voted out of office, I'll continue to do my job, help people listen to citizens, all that, but I will not vote in Congress during a lame duck Congress. The people have spoken, and they don't want my vote there anymore. It doesn't matter if it was a party switch or not. It was the vote was they don't want their vote anymore. So that was the tradition. So now they're trying to be bullied here by President Biden. Well, not that he even knows how to bully anybody, by his staff, right? His staff's trying to bully these people into doing these votes and get them to vote the way they want during the lame duck Congress. I'm sorry, you were voted out of office. We don't want to hear from you anymore on the House floor or on the Senate floor. It's time to move on. Second, Paul, this program where you voluntarily give up your firearms in case you want them, whatever reason, protected. If you're feeling suicidal or something else, we know right away, Paul, right, that as soon as you say that, they're not only going to take your guns and store them for you, they're going to put you on a list that says you've admitted to being suicidal and you're never getting them back. So can we recall? Let's remember that. Let's remember that. Second of all, third of all, I guess, we used to have a program like this in Florida. Many of the sheriffs came out with it. It's similar. It was a voluntary program called Combat Auto Theft. There was a rash of car thefts going on, and somebody went out and did the stats and found out that car thefts, majority of the time, occur between midnight and like 7 a.m. While they're parked in your driveway and you're asleep. So they came out with this program called Combat Auto Theft. It was this yellow decal with a panther, a black panther jumping on it, and it was CAT. Combat Auto Theft, the CAT program, and you could sign up at your local sheriff's office, put this decal in your rear window, and if the sheriff's office saw that vehicle out between the hours of, it was like 2 and 6 a.m., they could stop your car without reasonable suspicion or probable cause because you've given pre-consent that you're not out during those hours and your car's probably stolen. Paul, this program lasted a couple of years until enough people decided they wanted to go out for a party or go drinking and forgot they had that decal in their window. And then they got pulled over because they'd already given pre-consent and they forgot, and they're out doing something they probably shouldn't be doing, and they got nailed for it. So it sounds like a great thing in theory, right? I'll pre-register to say it, but in practice, it never works out that way.
Yeah, that sounds like an exceedingly bad. The cat program sounds like an
Yeah,
exceedingly bad idea, as well as putting yourself voluntarily on a list where you can never buy a gun again for the rest of your life. Both of them sound like a bad idea,
yeah.
and I'm surprised that program lasted 2 years and not, I don't know, until the first person got pulled over.
It's amazing. You listen, you don't want to give too much power to the government, right? I've just given up basically part of my Fourth Amendment rights by doing that cat program, and you're going to do the same thing with this program. As soon as you tell the government, I'm a gun owner, I'm suicidal, guess where you're going to end up, okay?
Yeah, you're definitely gonna you at the bare minimum you're never gonna own a firearm again. And
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden, I signed up for this program where I say I don't want any more guns. All of a sudden, you need a psychological evaluation because we think you may be
Sure.
suicidal. Even though you didn't say it when you signed up for this list, we think you could be. So for the next 6 weeks, you're going to be taking a vacation.
Exactly right. Hey, look, we also found out you're a commercial driver. Oh, we're going to have to take that license away from you. Oh, what's that? You have another professional certificate? Taking that away from you. Oh, you've got your finance. You manage your own finances? Taking that away from you. You don't want to go giving this ammunition to the government so they come back and shoot you in the face with it. You know.
We got comments coming in. And by the way, if you want to comment, if you're watching like Diane is on the Polite Society podcast Facebook page, not any of the group pages or other places it goes to on Facebook, but if you're watching on Polite Society, go ahead and comment on the live video. Or if you're watching on the YouTube Polite Society feed, you can comment on that video. We get those comments right away. If you're watching anywhere else, please go to Twitter and tweet with the hashtag #TheBullet. So let me get Diane's comment up here. So if someone goes to the doctor for depression, they could lose their firearms. Well, this particular proposed law doesn't say that yet. But that is a concern, and quite honestly, there have been times when I debated myself going to seek some help because some things happened that I wanted to talk about and decided against it because I didn't want to take the chance that I would talk to somebody that they would blow things out of proportion and all of a sudden I get reported somewhere and I lose my rights.
Well, exactly, Paul. I recall that's exactly what's going on in Hawaii right now with the is it the Navy officer I think that's out
Yes.
there, and he had a little bit of depression, went and saw somebody, got reported for it. Boom, state came and took his guns from him.
Yeah, he was applying for a permit to purchase more firearms. And
Yep.
he was stationed in Hawaii, had never been away from home very long. Wanted to go see the one of the Navy counselors saying, and I'm sure it's a common problem in the Navy, and
Yeah.
honestly in all branches of service. Look, I'm feeling a little homesick. Talked about it, everything came out just fine, and yet because he talked about it, Hawaii decided, yeah, no, you not only can you not get a permit to purchase more, we're taking everything you have from you. And thank
Right.
goodness they got slapped down in court recently.
Yeah, the judge took care of that. And just to clarify for the comment, no, this is if you feel that what they're putting in there is if you feel like you might be suicidal, you can voluntarily put your guns or register to have your guns put in a safe place by the government. Well, and our point, Paul and I's point is do that and watch what happens next. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. The next story. This is a more direct threat, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be proactive. I'm going to put this up there right now. U.S. Capitol switchboard is 202-224-3121. President, and this is coming off Newsmax, President Joe Biden Wednesday renewed vows to secure a new ban on assault weapons in the United States as he turns up heat on lawmakers to pass legislation before his party loses control of Congress next month. Lawmakers have shown little inclination to outlaw assault weapons since a ban on high-capacity firearms expired in 2004. And they even get that. This is Newsmax, and they're getting that wrong. But Biden is hoping to see some outrage about the regularity of shootings to lead to greater pressure on them to change their mind. We did it before, said Biden, the gun ban and the vigil for victims of gun violence at St. Mark's Episcopal Church in Washington. We did it, and guess what? It worked. We can do it again. Mike, the 1994 assault weapons ban did not work. There have been multiple studies that said the effect was at best too small to measure.
Yeah, absolutely right. And if you recall, remember they had one done. I think it was in concurrence with the University of Florida and the CDC, if I recall, and it showed that it didn't work, and the government sat on that study for 4 or 5 years. They wouldn't release it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is again more trying to use this lame duck Congress. Folks, listen. Maybe you're all not as you haven't been around as long as Paul and I have. Is what I'm trying to say politely. But
saying I'm a little long in the tooth.
A little long in the tooth, a little shiny on the top. I mean, it really was. It was a gentleman's and honorable tradition that once you were voted out of office, you didn't show up on the floor to vote anymore. Now, listen, everybody else got reelected. Go right ahead. But the 16 or so, changes that have gone in the Democrat side and a couple of Republicans that have plussed up, no. It was that statement, that belief that they don't want me up here anymore making decisions for them, so I won't. Again, I'm not talking about the still working and doing their everyday job and making sure that people and if there's somebody having a difficulty back home in their district that they get taken care of, but they don't want you voting on a national level at that point. So to hear Biden, who's been, what is he, in his 51st, 52nd, 53rd year, something like that, up in Washington D.C., he knows this stuff. Well, hold on, let me take a step back. He probably doesn't know much anymore. He knows when it's tapioca time. That's about it.
Yeah, it's Thursday. It's tapioca, Mr. President. Yeah. Tomorrow is vanilla pudding. So.
Love vanilla.
Saturday is chocolate, man. I want to get this comment up here real quick. Going back to the story about the Navy officer that lost his guns. Navy guy should have talked to his dog instead of the psychiatrist. And it wasn't, and let's be clear, it wasn't the Navy that took his guns away. It was the state of Hawaii. Correct.
And all the Navy guy did was be honest. Because guess what one of the values, the core values of a military officer is? It's integrity, right? And when asked a question on a government forum, he knows that if he lies or perjures himself, he could lose his commission. So he was honest because it was no issue, and the state of Hawaii chose to make it such.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, and by the way, you might not want to talk to your dog in Hawaii. I think Hawaii is the state with actually the most breeds of dogs outlawed.
Well, and isn't that guy that there was a guy on TV for a long time, the dog whisperer? Isn't he out of Hawaii? And your dog will tell him. I'm telling you, man, your dog will rat you out.
That's right. Yeah. And then you got the bounty hunter guy. I think he's out there too. So you got to be careful.
All right. Next story that hit my attention today, out of Illinois. This is off BND.com. Governor J.B. Pritzker, who made banning the sale of assault weapons a key component of his successful re-election campaign this fall, for the first time voiced support for the recently unveiled proposal by Illinois House Democrats that includes outlawing the sale of certain assault-style guns, barring most people under 21 from getting gun permits, and banning large-capacity magazines. Pritzker, in his first public comments on the measure since it was filed last week, said he wants the legislation to be passed by the State House and Senate and placed on his desk to be signed into law before the 4th of July, 2023. I don't have the fancy button. I've got this button right here that'll get you through the U.S. Capitol switchboard, but I don't have a button here programmed with the number to get you in touch with your Illinois representatives. But if you are in Illinois, please do get in touch with your legislators. And you might want to even call Governor Pritzker's office and remind him that the SAF has taken several of his several previous occupants of that office to court and won. And if he wants to check on that, he can just call the state prison and ask to talk to anybody in the former governor's wing.
Right, Paul. Listen, if you folks, Paul doesn't have the phone number up there, but if you want to get a hold of an Illinois politician, just take $200 bills and rub them together. They'll show up. They'll be right there. They
Are you
will
sure?
be there.
It may even work with 50s, dude.
Oh, probably so. Yeah, you could probably get it. Nice crisp $50. You just look, it's the governor. Yeah. We might as well hear from this governor that he wants to reinstitute segregation in the state of Illinois. He might as well come out and say he's going to suspend due process in the state of Illinois. You have the Supreme Court coming out with the Bruin decision back in June. It's making it clear that it's the law of the land, that New York State Rifle Pistol Association versus Bruin is the law of the land. This is how the Second Amendment will be dealt with, and anybody that fails to do so will have it overturned. Yet you continue to see these politicians do this. He's continue to bring forth unconstitutional bills and laws. We're going to get to it. We're going to talk about Oregon as well, but Illinois is trying to do it now. They're bringing it forward and saying, here, we want to do it. Paul, this goes back to, and I know every time I'm on here, I talk about it, and it's like a broken record. We need to apply the standard, the Harlow versus U.S., the standard of qualified immunity to our politicians as well as our public servants, our police officers that have it now. Listen, there's nothing wrong with it. As long as you don't violate the law or violate the Constitution, you are protected by qualified immunity. However, if I start going out and saying things like, I want to pass an unconstitutional law, it's kind of, it's kind of like a violation, right? We have Governor DeSantis down here that suspended a state attorney over in the Tampa area because he signed a pledge saying he would not enforce certain laws. And the governor said, oh, so you want to break the law? You want to violate the law? Okay, you're removed from office. It should be that simple. Yet this is the power play that the Democrats want to play. It's for the children, Paul. It's for the children. We have to do this. Okay, fine. Now you pay for the defense out of your own money and not the people of Illinois when we charge you with this crime.
Yes, and not only that, you get to spend several weekends in jail while
that's right.
While the attorney you hire out of your money is trying to sort his or her way through this. That we need to absolutely hold the lawmakers accountable. I would even go so far, Mike, to say as if you voted for an unconstitutional law, when that law gets reversed, guess what? Your job is gone. See ya. You're no longer in office. Without that would be just a very good start. Would be if you vote for a law that gets overturned as unconstitutional, you're done.
Yeah, you know what? That's a great point. I hadn't even thought about that. But yeah, sure. You're taking part in the unconstitutional process, right? You knew what was going on. At a very minimum, some sanctions, right? Removal from committees, big fine. You got to pay for the defense out of your own pocket. I like it, throw them out. Throw the bum out. You want to come up here and break the law? We make that a law as well, right? The only problem is they're going to classify it as a high crime or misdemeanor, right?
Yeah. Excuse me, sorry. I had one story that I didn't. It didn't make the rundown of the stories I wanted to talk about today, but it's kind of tangentially related. And that is this: that it now apparently is legal for candidates for public office, at least national office, to use funds from their election, that are they've raised funds to get elected. They can now use that to pay for private security. Kind of convenient. You're going to be going into office trying to take away all of our guns, and yet you get to pay with campaign funds people to carry guns and protect you. Yeah.
Wow. Where was that out of?
I will try to find that again. It'll be after we go off the air.
That's all of the rules and regulations in campaign finance. That is, listen. That's got to be saved. It has to be put in a different fund. It cannot be mixed with other monies. It's like a lawyer and a trust. It has to be a certain different fund. It has to be separated, only used for certain purposes. But now that they could use it for security, Paul, I mean, listen, I can't fly on commercial aircraft. The best security for me is on a G5. So I think I'm going to have to rent a G5 with my campaign money to fly to DC now. I mean, can you see how that's going to get stretched? How that's going to
Sure.
that's going to how that's going. Oh, I can't ride in a Subaru anymore. I got to go in a Cadillac, or an armored Mercedes, whatever it happens to be. That's just got all sorts of opportunity for for abuse. And by the way, how about AOC? She's finding that out today too, right? That there's opportunities for abuse. But her opportunities for abuse have been noticed when she's mixing campaign funds and giving money and paying certain people. She's if you don't know, folks, the Dems came out today and said she's under a ethics committee investigation, and they wanted to let us know now that it's going on in case when the Republicans take control of the House, the Republicans can't say we're charging AOC. The Dems are taking credit for charging her, which is kind of weird in the first place, but she's under the gun right now as well.
Well, I want to get this comment in. Mike DeWine over on the YouTube side. He brings up a decent point. Let's not forget Governor DeSantis' faux pas when he used preemption law against someone, telling them they couldn't ban guns at their events, but then he banned guns at his.
Hold on. I'm tired of misinformation and reinterpretations as well. Governor DeSantis, who was down in Fort Myers and Naples areas, up to his boots in mud and sand, trying to rebuild a bridge from Sanibel Island to Fort Myers, had an event planned for him up in Gainesville. A staffer on the campaign planned the event, and the people up there that partially owned the convention center, is partially government owned, said, well, we ban firearms here, right? And the staffer said, okay, I guess so, that's your rule. Having no idea what the law was, said okay. Well, then it got released that the governor supported banning firearms at his event. You go back and get your facts straight, and let's give the guy a little credit for standing down there knee deep in the mud, helping people out, instead of criticizing him for the 1% of things you don't agree with that this Republican's doing. Yeah,
and Governor DeSantis of Florida and Governor Nome of South Dakota are very similar. I've worked for Governor Nome back when she was when she very first ran for office nationally as a House member, and I worked for her campaign, and I volunteered for her campaign as governor now 2 times. And it's very rare for there to be actual no guns allowed signs. The one time it happened here in South Dakota, it was because she was bringing in, and I'm trying to remember the lady's name. She used to be a Democrat, and then she said the Democratic Party went away from her, so she's now an independent. She's from Hawaii, and she's apparently now found a pro-gun attitude. But
yeah,
she was up here with campaigning for Nome, and the one time she was up here, there were no gun signs at that event, and I did not go to that event. But I mean, right. I still support Nome. So,
well, there's no place like Nome.
Yeah, well, that's Alaska, though. Of course, Alaska's pretty free. Let's get this comment up. The armed security is theater. They are using tax dollars to create impression they are at risk from guns.
Well, is it tax dollars? I think that's the point of this story, is that they're using campaign dollars now to pay for security.
Yeah. Yeah, it is campaign dollars, and let's face it, people like Bloomberg have deep pockets, and they can afford to contribute a lot for that private security. Or
sure, and to the commenter's point, absolutely, they're using tax dollars to pay for security. That happens every day, whether it's the Capitol Police or the Secret Service, whatever their level happens to be, whether they receive, they're absolutely using taxpayer dollars to provide for their own protection. I think the like I said, the point of this story was now they could use campaign dollars to do it as well.
So they can get security before they ever get in office. Yeah.
And that doesn't make sense because I know, at least on the presidential level, let's say once you receive the nomination, and if you're just like Donald Trump was, he was Joe Nobody, right? Political wise, as soon as he received the nomination, he got not only security briefings, but he got or intelligence briefings. He got security provided to him by the Secret Service. So I think the same thing applies to anybody elected to federal office or appointed to a federal position.
I know for president, if you are a Republican or Democratic nominee, or there's
somebody with a chance, right?
Yeah, somebody with a even remote chance.
You
will get Secret Service protection from
1940 candidates or anything like that.
Yeah, you'll get protection from like September through the election, so you'll get a few months of it. And once the returns come in enough that it's obvious who the president is, they'll and you're not that person, they'll pack up and leave right away.
Yeah. Thanks for your time. Bye-bye.
All right, last story. I want to go to Oregon, and I have a feeling we're going to be talking about Oregon a lot in the coming weeks, simply because Oregon's 114. We talked about it yesterday. A federal judge said the law could go into effect. A state judge said no, it even goes against Oregon's constitution. This can't happen, and put a stay on it. And it went all the way, very quickly went to the Oregon Supreme Court. And last night, the Oregon Supreme Court said, yeah, we're not stepping in on this one. We're going to allow the stay to continue for at least 30 days. That law will not take effect. And that's the whole law, not just part of it.
Right. And remember, the federal law said, or the federal judge said, we're going to put 30-day suspension on the gun permit process.
Right. Because
the sheriffs had come to them and said, you want us to have this ready in 6 or 7 days, and we haven't even started this. Nobody's begun this. So they put that provision on, I think it was Monday. They put that provision on Monday and said, we'll put that on hold. Then the Harney County judge there in Oregon said, everything's on hold for 7 days. Everything. It's all put on hold. And the Attorney General there in Oregon, Rosenbaum, went to the state Supreme Court. And Paul, a lot of us were like, it's an Oregon State Supreme Court. It's many majority Democrats, liberals on that court. So figured this might be one of them flip flop things. And the state Supreme Court there said no. In fact, I forget the chief judge's name is Martha something. She said, listen, the law's never been in place before, so the delay of 7 days is not unrealistic. In fact, we're going to allow the postponement for 30 days until everybody has an opportunity to bring their case together, and we'll determine if this law is unconstitutional. So now, let's be clear, those that requested the injunction have to provide more information before the state Supreme Court will determine the constitutionality, but now they have 30 days to do so rather than no time at all.
Yeah. And I'm not entirely sure. I know SAF has one of the federal cases that is out there, and the federal cases will continue.
Yes.
I do not know which organization had the state level case that actually got the injunction. But
I think that was GOA and a couple of inside the state organizations with GOA backing, if I recall.
Okay, very cool. And
yeah,
so yeah,
and they're all intertwined. Listen, folks, listen. FPC, GOA, and SAF, before they all make a major move, they all talk to each other and consult, so they're not doing duplicative work. These are all tight. Those three are tight people, and they all know what's going on in each other's camp.
Not so much. It's not the duplicative. It's a lot of times we will join each other.
Yes,
SAF
absolutely.
will join with, or right. SAF and FPC will join together, or GOA and one or the other will join together, and
right.
will share resources in various lawsuits. So
yeah, and those are the three big players. Correct me if I'm forgetting anybody, Paul. The three big players. Now they'll join with state level grassroots organizations. But those are the three big ones. The other one, the NRA, that's you might pay attention to them. And the ILA used to do stuff, but again, they still got to clean up their house before they get back in the game.
Right now, they're really busy with the state of New York.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, yeah. Well, hey, man, big shock. We ran over a little bit so far. Tell everybody about the rundown. Tell everybody about Arms Room Radio, man.
Yeah, the rundown is on Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Is that right? Yeah, because you're 6 p.m., we're 5 p.m. Yep, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. That's me and Craig DeLuz of the Firearms Policy Coalition. And then we have Arms Room Radio. That's on Saturdays from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern. We're going strong for 8 years, armsroomradio.com. In fact, this Saturday, what's that, 2 days from now, we're sampling cigars in the studio, Paul, so you might not be able to see us through your speakers. But yeah.
Do I get an invite to the studio for Saturday? I mean, just
absolutely. Consider anything I'm doing, Paul, you're invited to. Just bring the soap and the loofah,
Okay. All right. Well, hey, I want to invite everybody. Do come join us tomorrow for Training Friday. On Training Friday, not only is it Tom Walsh, who you see every other Friday, it's Brooke Cheney is also going to be with us on the show tomorrow. The topic is going to be, will competition get you killed? We're going to be dicing that one out. And on Saturday, come join us at noon Central Time when it's going to be Beth Alcazar, Alex Uli, and Dan Wass joining us for the weekend show. We're going to go ahead and shut this one down, everybody. Until then, thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting. And if you're a podcast listener, come join us live, 5 p.m. Central Time, Monday through Friday. Thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you